So I think the other one that I wanted to do today, after giving it a break for a little while, is the news thing. Um, so I think that I did want to draw today. Like I legitimately think I'm being poisoned, by the way. Like I feel like I'm being. Yesterday, some guy stopped me outside and said that he'd bought this white Tesla for free, and now I seem to be being spiked with heroin. When I went out the flat. Uh, when I came back, all of a sudden my cats have fleas again, which is something that happened about 9 months ago. A bit after I got my cats, I got some food from a food bank because I was fired from my job and I didn't expect to run out of money when I ran out of money. Well, I expected to be in work. Um, and I asked them for some cat food, even though I probably had enough to get me through for the 4 days or whatever it was until I was gonna get some, until I was gonna get my until I was gonna get my benefits payment. And somebody walked past me and said, somebody basically tried to let me know through something that they wanted me to infer that not to take the cat food from the food bank that I was going to get my food from the next day. And the next day I went and I thought, you know what, I'm going to test this out and I'm going to see what, like, if my cats end up dead, if my kittens at this point, they would have been 3 months old, I would have had them for a month. And I thought, my cats end up dead, then I'll know that this is fully real and that I'm not mental through these things that I'm inferring, through these esoteric messages that I'm inferring. And basically, the day after I fed my cats, like 2 days later, the turds that they were taking were covered in worms, and I mean like they've had worms since, and there was like one or two worms crawling on them. I mean that they went from having no worms and no fleas to swimming in them. And when I left the house, this homeless person walked past me and went, "We've got pets too," and I was like, "What the fuck?" So seemingly what that's saying is that the Church of England will, and these communities that seem to be stalking and harassing me, will literally uh, poison your cats. One of the types of cat food was this like tray that looked like a microwave dinner and it had a foil top. Would have been super easy to get some worms' eggs and put them into that food. It would have also been super easy to collect some fleas and put them all over my cats. And then yesterday, this guy said some weird shit to me outside. This Asian looking guy, I'm assuming Indian or Pakistani, said some weird shit to me outside about how he just got this white Tesla for cheap. He then walked, then I saw him come, then I, like, let's just get this straight that I live in some high rise flats. There are about 600 people. I see this guy all the time and he always says weird shit to me. Yesterday, he said some weird shit to me outside about how he bought this white Tesla for. I didn't even try and initiate conversation with him. He just started talking to me about how he bought this smashed up white Tesla for free, for really cheap. And he then shoulder barged me about an hour later. So like I'm letting you know that I live in a high rise like apartment building that is mainly filled with uh people that are getting free housing off the government. So a lot of ex-cons and shit, and also a lot of addicts and ex-homeless people. And I never see the same people, right? And this guy twice in a day said some weird shit to me. Then I've got back. All of a sudden, my cats are flooded with one of my cats, not the other one. My girl cat flooded with fleas again. So I had to spend ages getting fleas off her. Just with a comb, she now seems all right today. And then I'm covered in bites all up my arm. And this guy walked into me and just shoulder barged me, and I was like, "What the fuck is right?" I like that there is zero reason. There is zero reason for any of that. And this guy has always been super weird with me. I just want to reiterate that, like, he'll come out of his flat at the same time that I come out of my flat, and he'll go back home and it's always at the same times. Like I said, I know that people in the government have been breaking into my flat for time, and I know that they use ex-cons and homeless people to fuck with me. So super strange. And I just don't understand, like, there's that Netflix show, like, people that fuck with cats and stuff, right? Seemingly none of that's real. Seemingly these church people that carry out these sorts of vengeance, they don't actually care if you. They're actually the people that fuck with cats. They're actually the people that fuck with kittens. They don't give a flying fuck about. Uh, they want to attack the weakest possible source, so that if they can't attack you, if they can't poison you, injure you physically, if harassing you, breaking into your flat and bursting the tires on your bike all the time, poisoning your water supply. Like, if you want to know why I think I've been spiked with opiates, because all of a sudden I've gone from taking a comfortable shit every morning to all of a sudden I'm seeing loads of shit about opiates. And I feel lazy as fuck to the point where I don't even want to go for a walk outside. I feel like my face, my skin is like buzzing, and I feel constipated. Uh, I mean, my pupils are fairly small, but it's also fairly light, so. Um, and also, my cats haven't taken a shit. Don't know if you know much about cats, but they haven't had a shit in over 24 hours, and I've been feeding them 4 times a day. So that's also quite weird. But seemingly, what they want to do is they want to wipe. They seem to think that they want to enrage me to the point of creating angry rah. They seem to think that they want me to make angry because they want to stoke the fires of this jungle that they're creating so that they can make it so that everybody hates each other on the bottom rung so that nobody takes the money from the people above them. That's what they seemingly want me to do. I think that by getting like an Asian Fed to do this, they want me to draw something that doesn't like, that is like anti-Asian or something. So that they can stoke the fires of white people hating Asian people, and they think it creates some sort of they think it just creates hatred within the communities, which is crazy. Anyway, off the back of the topic of that, um, all of this rioting now, like seemingly the riots aren't like what I'm seeing on X is a ton of anti-Muslim stuff and a ton of anti-trans stuff. That's what I'm seeing. Um, I don't know if this is because I frequently, when I see someone going, a woman has a penis and a man has a vagina or what the fuck ever, like, I just go, why do you care? It's always seemingly like people that I would listen to in conversation and go, I'm gonna remove you, which is often what I do on X. I just block people. When I see them posting videos of like kids fighting, I post, why is this any different to paedophilia? Why is it any different posting a video of two 12-year-olds fighting in the street and then posting that online? Why is that different to, because let me just get this straight. I think that both are disgusting. And I don't want to see either. That's my point about this. Is like, why the fuck are you posting kids fighting? Like, fucking and fighting are two things that are like insanely personal. Why are you posting kids like, often women as well will call MMA like gay porn. So you literally think like, why are these like guys that perceive themselves to be hyper masculine posting little boys fighting in the street? It's it's an extremely weird time that we're living in, I think. Anyway, so like when I see shit like that, I will post like, you're just posting gay pedophile porn, right? And like when I see like these anti-trans people, I'll just post like, why do you care? I because for me, if I see a guy walking down the street in a wig, I don't think it's disgusting. I need to hit this guy. I just think like, so it's do you know what I mean? When you have these ultra like manly men listening to Aerosmith, Nobody was giving a fuck. You had a guy wearing skin tight, what's that material? Like skin tight PVC, something that you usually relate to like fucking sex games, right? You had Black Sabbath all with like long ass hair wearing like skimpy clothing. Do you know what I mean? You had these guys wearing like skin tight leather jeans, crop tops. Do you know what I mean? Vests. At the time, that was like something that men wore under their shirts and shit to stop sweat from coming through on their garments, which the majority of people sweat like that because they're eating toxins. That sweat is a way of getting rid of toxins out of your body. So you think like you basically have these men with hair wearing makeup with hair like women and skin tight leather clothing and essentially like the version of a bra and platform shoes near enough high heels, right? David Bowie, yeah, well, David Bowie was not necessarily seen as masculine, but you had this music that was overly like, we love Satan and fucking, shouting and screaming about getting into fights and shit. And you think, like, they're all shit that we associate with women. And you think back then, guys because people didn't say that that was feminine, guys just loved it and attributed it these things to being masculine. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. These guys would go out of their way to like beat the shit out of gay people and make tons of jokes about gay people and push them out of their community whilst using hair straighteners, a shitload of hairspray, putting on some lippy and some eyeliner, putting a vest on, some skin tight leather trousers and high heels. You're like, yo, what the fuck? It's so similar to me to like the weightlifting community. Do you know what I mean? These people go, I'm so masculine that I basically eat like an anorexic, and the way that I make money is I cover myself in baby oil. Frequently, these dudes, like I used to see when I was in like a fairly serious weightlifters gym, these guys would like be walking around in platform stilettos because they thought it helped their posture for when they went to these competitions where they basically had been eating like an anorexic for time, throwing up food when it was like too fatty for them, working out so that they could go, look at how I look at me, look at me, look at me, wearing pretty much wearing G-strings and vests, right? Or topless with a G-string on and stiletto heels and covered in baby oil so that they could say that they're working on their posture. And the majority of the time, sticking needles up their ass and injecting hormones into themselves so that they can think that they're more manly. Does anybody like, does anybody get how crazy any of this is? Anybody? Does anybody look at this and go, yeah, this is fucking mad? Do you know what I mean? It's so fucking crazy, so insane. You watch these people going, it's so manly to be ripped and have a body that like it's so manly to have a six pack. No, that you know what that is? That's female intelligence officers saying that we like anorexic men because previously in previous times the monarchy indicated that they wanted anorexic women to wear corsets. So now they get men to starve themselves, ingest all these crazy chemicals, and spend all their money going to a gym, like to work out so that you can look anorexic. Does anybody get how fucking insane any of this shit is? You know why I like slimmer girls? Because my dick feels better inside their vagina. That is just like for me. I'm sorry, fat women. I'm overweight. Let's just get that out of the way. That like I'm overweight. This isn't like a bar on fat women, but like I like sleeping with skinny tall girls. That must be something in my DNA where I go, I'm only 5'10". My dad's like 5'7". So this must be something within me where I go, I want to sleep with a tall woman. Maybe it's just because I don't think about having children, but it must be something inside my DNA that goes, I'm not skinny and tall. I'm I'm 100 kilos with not that much muscle, with just a bit of a big frame-ish. Do you know what I mean? So that must be my way, my body's way of going. I want to have a child with someone skinny and tall. That's what I think that is for me because my type is skinny, tall women, and to the point where like my dick feels better inside a skinny woman's vagina. I used to think that that was maybe just something. Then I was watching The Wire last night, and the guy says, uh, "It's harder to get in than my fat bitch's pussy," and I thought, "Oh shit, this is." This is not confined to me. This is apparently a joke that can be made in the black drug dealer community as well. Um, so yeah, like I guess like you just go for what you go for, really, don't you? I guess. But I think for me, like I don't see a point. It all seems so mad. It all seems so crazy that you whole like trans hatred thing is like, why can't you let people do what they want? Why do you have to like? And again, like you've got everybody going. The only way that you could think that religious people are going, no, no more trans people, no more trans people, is if they're going, it halts birth, it halts birth rates, right? And if you think that it halts birth rates, then why do you see it as appropriate to flood the communities with tobacco, with drugs, with alcohol, with like all these substances that lower sperm counts, give people cancer, and murder young people? Do you know what I mean? Why are you making money off selling processed food? And the thing is, they're going, well, you have to be stupid in order to. No, you don't. You can be born a kid that has that from their DNA they take a bit of something from their parents, but they also take shit from their grandparents. They can end up being more. They can end up growing up on processed food, and they can get to a point where they go, "Hey, eating vegetables and getting a higher vitamin content is way healthier for me." Do you know what I mean? I feel so much more alive when I do that. Do you think they're condemning a bunch of people to a life where they are just going to get cancer, lower sperm counts, when it's the same thing as what I was talking about in The Wire? Like, it's mad the people that they condemn to this shit. 'Cause they basically condemn these people to this shit because they go, it's impossible that they will ever be able to want to get out of these circumstances. And then they get out of these, and then they want to get out of these circumstances, and people go, no, you need to stay down there in those circumstances. You think like, oh, fuck this shit, man. It's so crazy. And the only reason you could think, because like it does not make sense at all, because what the church basically says, we're going out of our way to crush down the gay movement and the trans movement because we want normal families that give birth in normal ways. And you go, why do you sell them cigarettes and alcohol and sugar, like foods with ridiculously high sugar contents? And do you know what I mean? Why are you selling people all of this? Super, super sugary, cheap bread. Why are you selling people that? Do you know what I mean? Like, fuck off, man. It's fucking bullshit. And the same with like the racism thing. For me, it's like people are people. Now what you have in England is, if what you have is people going, our benefit system is overloaded, and it's going to become not sustainable for us to help the people within our country, by taking on more people. You think, do you know what I mean? You think, well, okay, that makes sense. The people that we already have in this country, keep them, and any of the ones that are struggling with English, get them into English classes until they can speak English to a decent extent. Do you know what I mean? You think use the benefit system in the right way. You think send people that can't speak English, you think make that mandatory, they have to do it. If I was living in France, I would feel like a mug if I wasn't trying to learn French and trying to get to a point where I could speak conversational French. Like, I was constantly when I lived in France, language excited me, and unfortunately, I ended up working in two restaurants that were owned by one was owned by a Canadian person, the other was owned by an English couple. But like, I had to go to shops by myself, so I spoke French to the point where I could understand going to the deli counter and ordering my cheese and meat in weights of grams. Do you know what I mean? Like, I could book a table for me and the girl I was seeing in French on the phone in a restaurant. And I wanted to get better. I got a French girlfriend so I could get better at speaking French. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was getting French lessons off two different French women because I wanted to speak French better. I would think that use the benefit system right for the right reasons, but this whole thing of like what seems to be happening is they're going, we need to hate Muslims. It's a dangerous game to play that. I think that there are much more subtle ways in which you can go, hey, everybody, religion doesn't require us to attack each other. Because seemingly, and for me, like, I've been posting shit like every time that they do this, they pass a load of laws that they don't repeal for years after this shit stops. Every time they do this, they don't lose out. You know what? You know when the Ukraine war happened, I thought, oh, if I had money, I would invest it in the companies in Ukraine and Russia who sell building materials because after this war, I thought they're going to be doing no work right now. They're not going to be making sales because they're more than likely not going to be doing work because they're not going to put themselves on the front lines to rebuild a city. Even if some of them do, they're more than likely going to be massively making moves with that when the war's ended. So I thought if you invest in these companies now, you're more than likely going to get cheap stocks and shares. And you're then going to be able to, when those companies start selling all that shit massively and they start making loads of money, you're going to make a ton of money, right? And you think these people that own those building, these people in the government, they often get paid a low wage because they make a shitload of money on stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, building companies really don't lose out in a war, and therefore politicians really don't lose out on war. Individually, they stack money, man. Do you know what I mean? Individually, they get paid. If anything, they lose a load of people that they consider to be riffraff because they will go head first into a war and just and murder each other. Um, so yeah, it's really and now so I posted something the other day where I said they're going to pass some crazy shit here. Now all of a sudden police have passed something that I think is called a Section 6, not called a Section 6, it's called something 60, Section 60 or something 60. And they basically just passed a law where if they think that you're going to incite violence, they can stop and search you for any reason. Now, this is like, that is bad. Once again, like, a lot of the law is set up to be able to attack anybody at any time. Now, if they want to, that means that if they want to, they can carry out personal vendettas on people. That means that what they can do is they can pull up at the side of the road. Now, with that law being passed, it doesn't say incite hatred with regard to um, protests. Okay, what it says. So let's imagine a situation that I've been a part of multiple times where like two coppers pull over and they go, "What are you doing?" And you go, "What do you mean? What am I doing? I'm just walking along the street." I'm just walking from A to B. What if you are going to, because weed is illegal, what if you're going to buy some weed and you don't see smoking weed as a problem because they sell alcohol and it's a much worse issue than weed? So you're walking along the street and some coppers who maybe they don't like your dad or mum. Maybe they think that you're foreign and and they're insanely racist, right? So what if they pull you over, but maybe you are foreign, maybe you are black or Asian, and they pull you over and they go, "Oh, what's your and they talk to you like they should be able to demand that you stop and do whatever they say. Do you know what I mean? So they say, "What are you doing?" And you go, "I'm just walking from A to B." And they go, "No," and they antagonize you a little bit and they wind you up a little bit. So you then raise your voice. Off raising your voice, they are trained to believe that if they sent SWAT police in this door right now, if I move quickly, sudden movement, it authorizes them to shoot you because they believe that they couldn't have had a warrant to go into your flat. Now, like they can say that you have a weapon in your flat. If you have if you have something like let's say that let's say the police got a drug dealer to threaten breaking into your flat, you might leave a weapon next to your bed, right? If they then know that through an undercover police officer coming around to your flat and seeing something that could be construed as a weapon next to your bed, they can then that authorizes police to take in armed deadly force. And if they break into your flat and you're tired and you don't know that it's going to be police that are breaking in, you go, whoa, 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 whoa. That gives them authorization to shoot you dead. Okay? Now, like, they use shit like this for the same stuff. If they pull you over and they antagonize you and they stalk you, because in your mind, smoking, if you're a normal, intelligent person, smoking weed is exactly the same as drinking, right? So if you have some weed on you and you know that you've got weed on you, so you either run because you don't want to have something on your criminal record as a child, or let's say you have 7 grams because somebody said, "Oh, actually, I can do you 7 grams for 50 rather than 7 grams for 70." That's an amount of weed that they can construe as drug dealing. So if you run and they chase you, right, even if you just raise your voice back to them and you go, "Fuck off, man," for harassing you, they can say that that is the potential for inciting hatred, for inciting violence. And they can either tase you or they can arrest, or they have the right to stop and search you for that. So this is where, like, what we fall into with this is they never arrest an illegal mentality. They do things that allow illegal people to get round that shit. Do you know what I mean? Because essentially, if I go, "I don't like that kid because I don't like his dad," it enables me to drive up to that person and go, "What are you doing?" And they go, "What do you mean, what am I doing?" And they go, "Don't talk to me like that, you knobhead. What are you fucking doing?" Right? Now, if anybody talks to you like that, you're going to go, "What are you talking to me like that for? Don't call me a knobhead, you fucking prick." They're going to say that that incites hatred. They're going to say that that incites violence. And they're going to call back to these anti-Muslim movements so that everybody on on the left side, on the liberal side, go, yes, well, what do you expect when all of these crazy white people, do you know what I mean? It's mad. So now what they've done is they've passed a law where the police can stop and search you for pretty much any reason, because they don't have you don't have to be inciting violence. They can get you to incite violence. And what I'm wondering is what else they're covering up. They usually, when something like this happens that grips a country, and the whole country wants nothing more than to focus on what's going on in my city. Am I going to have this happen? Is this going to happen? Right? What happens is they usually it was like with Brexit. What happens is they usually shove through about 20 laws and they put a tiny little story and nobody wants to read that story. That's usually what happens. And I've just noticed a couple of things that they're putting through and you think, this is not good, man. It's almost like string a bell. They're stringing people along with this shit. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's crazy. It's really, really bad. Anyway, so like yeah, all of this rioting, you think that and anyway, like you can't what this is rioting, because if you're far right, and these people often identify as far right, you can't protest. Your organization doesn't allow you to believe that you're protesting. Protesting is a liberal concept. In order to even have the option of voting for a far right, you have to be liberal minded. You cannot be voting if you're on the far right. The far right is usually a dictatorship. The far right, like they want dictators. They want people to like fascism is usually somebody that rules with an iron fist, and they don't allow votes. They don't allow protests. Okay, so like it's such a weird thing for people to be identifying as far right and going, and for me, like, if you're watching this and going, yeah, well, if these issues are there, you need to be solving these issues. If these issues are there, listen to these people and listen to why they're flooded with so much hatred. And the thing is, like, you're going to get people like me that are going to go, they're flooded with hatred because they don't have as much money as other people. A society breeds these unrealistic expectations. It positions people as rich because of their bloodlines who are always going to be rich. It positions people in politics. It positions celebrities. It makes you want to be them because you don't have what they have. You don't have money. You don't have adoring fans. You want those things as a human being. That's why people are pissed off. People are pissed off at like being we're antagonized constantly. We're told that we're all so different when we're all just human beings. We're manipulated by religions to believe that we're different to somebody else because we read a different book and because we have a different level of vitamin D in our country, vitamin D exposure in our countries. It's insane, man. It's so crazy. Um, so crazy that we're buying into all of this. They don't care about destruction of property. Destruction of property makes these people money. They don't care. These people writing these stories, they don't give a fuck about destruction of property. They don't give a fuck about criminal damage en masse. They make money from the work that they do. Um, and if anything, it gives them a reason to arrest to all these people, right? They will have their faces, man. They will know who they are, even if you think that they don't. They are merely getting people to trap themselves up and to imprison themselves for like 20 years. If they don't put you in prison, they're going to be putting you in prison one way or the other. And what's crazy is that they're inciting the hatred. They're stoking these flames. It's madness. Um, Yeah, I don't know. I think that people need to be listened to, and I think that they need to be listened to by intellectual people. People need to go, this person's saying that they don't want Muslims, and this, they need to be looking at it literally going, well, that means this person is unhappy that themselves and people within their communities don't have a reasonable amount of wealth. That's what they need to be looking at. They're unhappy that these people don't have a lot of money. They're unhappy that these people's family members don't have a lot of money. They're unhappy that these people are unable to do things that make them happy. And they're unhappy that other people are coming into their country and that they are taking, that they are getting these opportunities to be happy. That's, I don't understand why we don't look at things like that. Because what people do is they go, you need to look at it and you need to see that people aren't happy that they're faced with a load of different people. That's also a thing. You think getting rid of religion and just getting people to be decent, do you know what I mean? Can't see any other way because you can't get everybody to abide by Christian values, but you can just say, well, if this is what a modern version of what Christian values are, let's just take away the Christianity, let's just take away the Muslim, because that's what's creating people to be different and to hate each other. You know, the religions are getting people to hate each other and to fight. Um, you think of taking shit away like that, and you think of getting it so that people are happy, getting it so that people are making money off what they want to do. Do you know what I mean? For so long, so back in the day, we went, oh, this person is a swordsmith, so their son is going to be a swordsmith. We still do that to an extent where we go, poor people are going to work in Poundland. I lived in a place called Hucknall, and I was sent in a school to a place where called West Bridgeford. I actually now live in West Bridgeford. I haven't lived in West Bridgeford though I see it since I was 16. Right? And basically what happened was I was capable. I was told by one of my teachers, I was taken to the side by one of my teachers in year 9, so at which age of 14, I believe. She said, through your predicted tests, we did these tests called CATs. She said through your CATS tests, you should be in the top set for maths. You should be going for the higher educational standard in maths, right? I personally perceive that it was because I didn't live in West Bridgeford, right? Like we lived in Hucknall, therefore we paid tax in Hucknall, and therefore my school they fucked me over, man. They put me in the bottom set for everything when I shouldn't have been in the bottom set for everything. And what that means to me is that like they basically went, "You're from Hucknall, you do Hucknall shit." Right, because like, and I think what they wanted was to bring me into West Bridgeford so that I do. I personally think they wanted me to be a drug dealer because of the amount of police grooming that I had from a young age. But this is not about. Anyway, like, so this is how I'm relating it to that. I think that what they do is they get a bunch of people to like eat crap food, therefore not having a vitamin, therefore not having a constitution, therefore not having enough vitamins in their life to want to get up and be active. They fuck up, they give people different water in different areas. They basically say if you're from a poor area, you're going to be overweight, and we're going to make it so that people that are overweight aren't desirable by making people rich that are ripped and skinny. Um, and it's then going to cause you to that they'll only allow you to be educated to a standard which fits in with what you can with what they want your area to do. They want people to clean the streets. They want people to wipe arses. They want rich people to be able to live a life where all they think about is themselves, and they need people to wipe their elderly's arses. They need people to pick up the litter on the street. They need to be able to walk down the street and do what they want, throw litter on the floor. Do you know what I mean? Even when it's got to a point where we don't do that anymore, they still want people to empty the bins. They want people to do these jobs that are essentially wiping the arse of the rich. And they make that so through the education systems. And then they go, okay, so like they've made it so that people want to eat like microwave pizzas and shit like that and not have any. They want them to live off sugary snacks and blah, 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 right? Then that creates sugar crashes, caffeine crashes. It creates people staying indoors and then watching television programming. And through that programming, they watch stuff where they basically see a life that they are more than likely not going to be able to attain, especially in the circumstances that they're in right there and then. And through that, um, they want something that they essentially a lot of the time can't have, and they can't even free themselves. That a lot of the time they can't free themselves from the shackles and the constraints of their environments. These ghettos were government experiments where they imposed horrific human rights violations on people to see if they would still live, to see if they would still force themselves to live in those environments rather, and they realized that they would. So now they've basically got a bunch of people to be super stressed out at these things that really aren't happening. You know, it's fucked up, man. And then they get them to incite, they get them to carry out these acts of violence and shit, and it just helps them. It just helps them make more money on building property. It just helps them on painting the poor as stupid thugs that'll attack police. Do you know what I mean? And then whilst they have this rhetoric dominating the media, they're able to pass laws like they can stop and search you for any reason. And what they're more than likely going to do is anybody that was a part of any of the Muslim protests, anyone that was a part of any of these white power protests, they're going to use them as the examples of people that you stop and search. You know, what else is there? Um, I've flicked through this already, but I'm just gonna have a quick look. It's all just programming. It's all just crap. It's all just taking shots. It's all just bullying. It's all just basically it's bullying. It's social media bullying in the form of media. Do you know what I mean? That's what this is to me. It's going out of it's them going out of their way to try and keep people in their holes. That's what it is. They see God work as hard work. They manipulate people who believe in God to essentially act like slaves by saying that God wants you to work hard to in order to make sacrifice shit. And then they say that it's satanic to pay attention to what's going on in your country or your community. Like, what? Why would I not want to know about laws being passed that are taking away my human rights? Why would I not want to know that my country has a problem with obesity because of the nature of television programming, the stranglehold that they create through flooding people with sugary snacks, tobacco, alcohol, addictions, caffeine addiction? Like, why would I not want to know that? Why would I not want to look at the root cause of why the people of my country are unhappy and physically and mentally sick? I want to know those reasons. And if you just ignore if you ignore man still in jail 20 years after laptop robbery, uh, mystery surrounds US woman found starving and chained to tree in India. Iran says Hamas. Now, what they're doing is mystery surrounds US woman found starving and chained to tree in India. What they're trying to do with that is they're trying to build the connotations that they're trying to set allegory for people defending Muslims, right? They're trying when people are saying, "Oh, I'm defending people because they're human beings. I don't care about the color of their skin." I don't want them to be victimized and I don't want them to have their communities violently attacked. What they're then saying is that whether you're a man or a woman, if you're a man, they're trying to be even more insulting by saying that you're a woman and that you've been chained to a tree in India. They're trying to build up the imagery in your head. They want you to go out there, just the same as police get drug dealers to wear tracksuits because they want to see them as sport. It's just the same as this. They want people that are being liberal, that they're trying to create an agenda where they're trying to force us into being far right, I think. They want people to go, oh, I'm not a woman, so why would I defend? They're trying to incite hatred all over. And for me, I think that they're doing that because they want to send people to war. Mystery surrounds US woman found starving and chained to tree in India. That they're trying to make out that if you're a man and you're defending the uh, people of Islam or people, because I don't defend Islam, I defend Asian people and people from the Middle East. I don't want them to be, if they're misguided in their religious and spiritual beliefs, then I want them to be able to attain true enlightenment. What I don't want is for them to be attacked physically, assaulted. Neither do I want white people to be attacked, assaulted from what their beliefs are. Because what I'm doing is I'm critically thinking about what their actual issues in their communities are. And what the media are doing is it's trying to incite hatred on both sides, on all sides. It's trying to get police officers to go to work and think, these fucking people, I don't know why I did a Cockney accent, it's trying to incite the hatred of the police officers where they're going to go to work and they're going to think these people are going to attack us today, so we need to attack them. You know, it's trying to, it's fucking bullshit, man. Um, and the thing is, right, if you don't pay attention to the media, you might go to work and not expect that you might have a brick put through your window, and you might get dragged, like these people that are attacking the hotels that asylum seekers are staying in. That's crazy, man. Can you imagine going to seek asylum in your country through war, through being from a war-torn country, getting to another country that's accepted your asylum, and then having the people in that country like try to drag you out of that hotel and murder you? It's insane, man. Um, Yeah, all of this for me is just inciting hatred. Even the Olympics now, you apparently can't enjoy the Olympics without political messages being broadcast everywhere. It's fucking crazy, man. Um, don't care about some shit art. Don't care about the life of Hollywood icon Robin Williams. I would watch that if it wasn't. I know enough about him. I don't need to watch it. Oh, that food looks really good. It's making me hungry. Fan of recipes. fan of the media doing food recipes and offering ways of getting at ways of feeding yourself healthily. Fan of that. Um, some cause to end shame over bowel cancer tests. I don't know why there's shame over that. Is that because they shove something up your ass? I remember them putting one of those camera tubes up my ass for when I was like 17 or something. They give you like a fucking local anesthetic anyway. You don't even like it. I was awake, but I was like, it just felt like uncomfortable as hell. Do you know what I mean? It just felt uncomfortable, like you were in a dream. Anyway, you can still have fun at a festival while sober. Yeah, it's you're just getting programmed by people though, a lot of the time for not great reasons. Sometimes they are trying to promote good reasons. Don't care about non-league football owners with Stormzy's are. That surfing shit looks cool, but I don't really care. I'm 25 and living with my parents. Hopefully, that's trying to get people to earn money to get out of that system. You do think with a lot of this, like, oh, get out from underneath your parents' feet. You know, in communities where people live for so much longer, like Italy has a really like, Italy, people in Italy live for way longer than in England. And you think, but reckon that's sunshine, nutrient content, and also my family in Italy, all they do is spend time with their family. Like, in England, we breed this way of like hating your family. Gets pushed into an old folks' home. Do you know what I mean? And in Italy, it's like I went over there. You're just on farmland. Like my family's farm. My family's house is like right next door to my grandma's sister's house. Then about a 5 minute drive away up into the mountains, there's my grandma's other sister and their husband, and like they come down and they help my family out with farming their melons and their fucking and their pig farming and shit. You know, like my family go up there. They trade loads of food, so my family have loads of like lemons, figs, and shit, and like they would go up and trade food with their family members. They would have cured meat. They would swap whatever they had a lot of at the time. My grandma's like auntie lived down the fucking I know that sounds crazy because they're both pretty old, but we would drive another 5 minutes down the road and we'd be at like my grandma's auntie's house, and they were a bit richer. They had a swimming pool and stuff. So like we went to theirs for like part for a big party for someone's birthday. Like there was about 100 people that were all in our family or related to our family. Like, do you know what I mean? You think like, why do these people live longer? Do you know what I mean? They all grow their own fucking fruit and veg. They're exercising from looking after their farmland. Do you know what I mean? They're exercising from looking after their farmland. They're eating fruit and veg that they've grown themselves. They all keep chickens. They're all eating eggs that have been grown on their land. Like they were farming pigs and chickens. So like and the back in the day when I was younger, when I went, they had cows. When I was like 7, when I went, they had cows. I didn't have any cows the last time I went. Like I think that's how these people stay healthy and fit. The amount of land that they had as well was maybe about as in like the amount of like grass and like farmland that they were farming on was not that much bigger than your average like garden in a place like West Bridgeford. Not that much bigger. Do you know what I mean? Madness. So you think like in England we go 25 and living with parents, how disgusting. But like over in Italy, they're all living on top. There's like there was my great grandma, my grandma's sister, two of my grandma's sisters, and two of my grandma's brothers, all living in three houses built on a small bit of farmland that was the same size as like maybe it was double the size of my mum and dad's garden. Do you know what I mean? That's how they live loads longer. They made their own wine. They all made their own wine. They all fucking had their own fig trees, were growing their own melons. Like they had to deal with a few snakes. I remember Miguel talking about fucking. I wanted to go and farm with them. Like, I want to go and do some shit. But like, they all grow their own fruit. They all have their own animals. They all like grow their own potatoes. All of that shit, man. Then they go food shopping about once every 2 months just to top up on shit. They all make their own cheese. Do you know what I mean? They're all making their own ricotta. They're all making their own mascarpone. They're all making their own. Do you know what I mean? They're making their own fucking. They're all making their own Parma ham, prosciutto. They keep busy because they need to tend to their land so they have food. Do you know? It's crazy, man. So I think over here we go, get the fuck out from under your mum and dad's feet so that you go and buy another property in another bit of land, so that you buy another property that you don't ever own, that the monarchy always owns because they always own the land. And you think actually in countries where people actually care about their family, they live for so much longer. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, I think in terms of like age rates, it's like China and Japan are super high up there, and then Italy was not that far down. I think last time I looked, I think England was somewhere like 14th, and there was a bunch of Scandinavian countries, Italy, France, Japan, China, and then way down was like England and the US. And you think, why are we doing this to our people? Why do they want us to do? Why do they? What? Why? It's crazy, man. Um, Biblical flash flooding. Crazy. Um, have scientists just worked out how the pyramids were built? Like, if you watch documentaries that go back like 20 years, they're just saying, yeah, they had cranes. And you know, it's so mad. Like, you watch all this shit where they go, yeah, how did they build the pyramids? And you go, slavery and cranes. Building sites seem like they were just the fucking same. 3,000 years ago, they pretty much had the same tools. They just ran in a different way. It's literally all it was. How easy would it be to build a crane? Do you know what I mean? Like they had way before the like around the same times as the pyramids in the UK we had systems that were built in like 360-degree path where we could map out the stars. You could see certain like do you know what I mean? Through and now you go, we can't see the stars now. It's because there's so much light pollution. It's because there are so many street lights and so many lights from cars, buildings, properties. It's so much pollution from the burning of petroleum in both our houses and our vehicles. And that's straight up why we can't see the stars anymore. Straight, I've always thought that like uh, Gemini, Sagittarius, all these Pisces, whatever, all these star signs. Like, I think that when a constellation is prevalent in your sky, if we get energy from sunshine, right? But if vitamin D powers human life and the growth of veg and fruit and stuff, why wouldn't constellations in the sky give us certain energies? But you're basically looking at like 12 stars and 12 suns in the sky, and you're looking at 12 different solar systems, and you're going, nah. Although I can see the light, do you know what I mean? Although I can see the energy that this thing is not exhibiting, but although I can see the energy that this thing is cascading out into the universe, I don't think that I get anything from it. I think that astrology is so much more in depth than any religion that we have. But whatever, man. What is deja vu? Actually, I might click on that, but I've read a bunch of shit on deja vu, and all it seems to say is it's something in your mind that says it. Sometimes people have a certain level of brain damage. Like there's loads of different fucking. Go read that if you want. Um, it is interesting, but I think most of it's lies. Uh, okay, The Guardian, far right face off. There's just so much of this shit, man, and also the Hugh Edwards thing. I mean, when are people just going to say BBC is not cool? Do you know what I mean? When are we just going to go the BBC's not all right? Why is it always paedophiles? Why it's never like, oh, Jeremy Clarkson got fucked up for beating the shit out of one of his cameramen, right? And Jeremy Clarkson walk up and like bitch slap one of his cameramen. So sometimes it is also violence. Why are we not just going to go, BBC is not cool. BBC is not okay. Um, Time after time after time after time. Like, how many paedophiles have they bred? It's not even just fucking Rolf Harris and Jimmy Savile. There was so many people that got taken down after Rolf Harris and Jimmy Savile. Rolf Harris did jail time. Jimmy Savile was dead by the time shit that properly was proved about him. And then there were a ton of radio presenters that just bang sacked, bang sacked, bang sacked. People that used to work in the industry. Madness, man. And still now, famous news, like I know that guy's face. I've seen that guy presenting tons of shit. Bang, gone, paedophile. And they're saying, oh, he wasn't as bad as Savile. He just exchanged a few photos. And you think, like, that's not good, though. That's not good. I don't even want to. I read a couple of stories and I just went, I don't want to poison my mind with that shit. I know these. This is what I'm saying about institutions. Fuck the individuals. These institutions are bad. BBC is breeding paedophiles. Do you know what I mean? How many paedophiles are working for the BBC? Stop looking at the time out. We're going. Oh, another paedophile at the BBC. We don't think the BBC is the fucking problem. Do you know what I mean? Crazy. We just go, no, it must be this person that was plucked as somebody that they knew that they could manipulate. They must be the problem. Um, Trump and Harris finding it difficult to. I understand that. Harris doesn't want to go on Fox News. Trump doesn't want to go on ABC. I get it, man. They're both going to paint the other one as a piece of shit. You see it all the time when, like, I've seen it with when podcasters beef, and one podcaster invites somebody that they're beefing with onto their show, and they go, "I'm not going to fuck you over," and you think, "Yeah, you are." You think there are some really good podcasters out there, and you think the good podcasters usually get into a great position of wealth and power, right? And you think the shit podcast, like there are other people that they just go, yeah, come on my show and argue with me, and you know that the sole intention of that is so that they can paint them like a piece of shit. Do you know what I mean? You watch somebody on two different arguments, and you watch somebody on two different shows, and you go, how come I really like that person on that show? How come when that person was interviewed by that person, I thought they come off like a fucking mug? It's because they just shape people, man. Shape opinions and shape people. Um, People are to stay away from dolphin in Thames. I've been saying this for time. Like that when I was in London, they did that excavation of the Thames and they found sharks. They found loads of shit in there, man. I think it's not probably not long before we have full blown snakes over here, man. Um, People confusing gender issues. 4 million lost to fraud and error on HMRC. Oops. It's all right. They'll probably take it from the elderly or people having kids. Don't worry about HMRC. You're going to get your 4 billion back. A bunch of poor people are going to get shafted. Don't worry about it. They're never going to touch the rich. They're never going to make sure that the rich lose out. Um, yeah, how social media has created a perfect storm. They're trying to get rid of social media so they can take it back to the media shaping everything. X is fucking crazy for it, man. X is so bad. Picking my nose. X is so bad for this shit. Like I'm fairly liberal minded, but I still think that the Liberal Party, I still think that the Liberal Party are not liberal. I think that the Liberal Party are in no way, shape, or form liberal. I think that they just trick liberal minded people into voting for them. But like I'm liberal thinking, and all I see is far right shit. You think, why are you trying to incite hatred? Why? Like, I follow a few rappers, a few comedians, Elon Musk. Like, I like those. I follow people whose opinions I value, or who like Forest. Do you know what I mean? Football teams that like I think, oh, I still sort of want to know what's going on there. Shit from my childhood that I enjoyed, and all I'm flooded with is like individuals who are seemingly. They'll even have names like I'm not a bot, and then say shit that you're like, that's just something a bot would say. Do you know? It's like, why am I why am I existing in this fucking echo chamber? There's basically me going, I don't really like this stuff. So then they're going, okay, well, we're going to bombard you with shit that you don't like. It's madness, man. They're trying to. I think that they're trying to get rid of. I think they're trying to take down social media so that we stop expressing individuality, so that we stop expressing um, so that we start expressing what's going on. Seemingly, the people of Nottingham have turned out to the far right who plan to march here say that fascists are not welcome. That's great. Um, that's good. However, with me not seeing it, I wanted to go and take mushrooms. And when I was going to the BLM rallies, I was taking mushrooms and just going and walking through. Um, that's what I wanted to do today. But I rang my mate and he didn't get back to me. But yeah, I wanted to take mushrooms and go see what was going to go on. That's good that my city is anti-fascist. I was legitimately thinking that maybe what they were going to do was there's a gypsy carnival behind me, just close by to where I live. I was legitimately thinking that the fascists might rock up and attack them as some sort of like payback for what happened in Leeds the other night. But apparently the people of Nottingham are outnumbering the fascists 10-1. Well, that is great. But then they're saying it's truly sickening how many racists at the march in Nottingham are wearing forest shirts. Yeah, that is the way, man. I'm a huge Forest fan. A lot of you know what that is a lot of people that like football, because it was such a culture that bred violence in the 80s. They only allow it's only people that want to exhibit and deal with violence that go to those places still now, you know. Still a lot of homophobia and racism at football games. Um, and yet this is what you want. Mental health time for action. What you want to do is go, okay, if these people have mental health issues, that's what we need to be working on. We need to be working on the medication and the correct, like not necessarily just medication, but the correct treatment of people with mental health issues. You know what I've seemingly had people surround me is people on the far right going, "You're being a pussy. You're being a pussy for taking medication." That's what I seemingly get. I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about? You don't eat like food and go, what a pussy I am." Do you know what I mean? Why would something that is helping to medicate your brain in order for you to function in society, why would that be you? And again, I'm just going back to the people that run Nottingham. Seemingly a bunch of fucking assholes on the far right actually run a lot of this shit. Um, I shouldn't be having to ask family to not take my daughter to Nottingham Square Beach today because of a few cunts got their facts wrong through the internet to spread bigotry and hate. Yep. Yeah, that is fucked up. But you would, it's so crazy that like you would think that children seeing this would be good for them to see how anti-hatred our town is. You would think that that's great, right? But then you think if it had kicked off and fascists would have caused violence, then what you don't want is uh, kids getting fucked up, you know. See, why this? Even this is inciting hatred. This is how it's done. Nottingham police are engaging and having a laugh with protesters. Take note, Sunderland. Why are you then taking shots at Sunderland? Why does going, oh, look at our police and our people having happy, like being happy and protesting together to get rid of fascist vibes. Why then go, Sunderland, you're doing it worse than us? The fuck is that? Um, so yeah, weird shit, man. Uh, yeah. Well, I'm glad to see that my town is promoting uh, people being decent to each other. That's it. Our town, not my town. Our town is promoting peace. That's fantastic. But apparently, the media are trying to indicate that the rest of our country doesn't do that, which is not great. And so, yeah, all in all, I'm going to call it that because I'm fucking starving after seeing that. beautifully roasted chicken on the BBC site. It looked fucking well nice, man. It looked like some tandoori spices or something. Um, but you use golf clubs to save children trapped in burning car. Mad. NHS Trust stops taking ADHD referrals over backlog. They told me that it could take up to 3 years with my diagnosis. Fucking insane, man. And you think like, is the problem, why are they stopping taking ADHD referrals? Isn't the problem that everybody has ADHD? Why would you stop helping all the people that need help? That's fucking crazy. My mental health person said, I think you have autism, like I think you have autism and ADHD, which might have made it quite difficult to diagnose you, and you definitely have severe OCD. So like why if there's a ton of people that are the same as that, why are you stopping those people from getting help? Don't isn't the issue, let's get more doctors and nurses. And seemingly what's happening is they're making the NHS so difficult to work for. They seem to be bullying doctors out of the industry, bullying nurses out of the industry. This is talking about people that I know that have gone into this industry, nurses that have said it is so crazy rife with bullying. You think these people are working sometimes like fucking 24 hours in 48 hours or like again and again and again and again and again. Working crazy amounts of hours in a week, working crazy amounts of hours in a month, working crazy amounts of hours in a lifetime, and then they get through a lack of staff, they are working hours which are making that job even more difficult. It's insane, man. Why don't we just, I've been saying this about private education and private healthcare for ages. Why don't we just put the money that goes into private education and private healthcare into these industries? Do you know what I mean? You don't necessarily pay people an amount of money that, like, you need to pay. If doctors and nurses, everybody in the fucking country needs to be paid that much so they can afford a place to live with a decent amount of space. Like, what the fuck? They need to be able to afford to eat a vitamin, a food meals full of nutrition. Do you know what I mean? What the fuck is going on, man? Like, people need to be not working that many hours. Yeah, like, yeah, it's crazy, man. You think what solves this issue? What solves the issue isn't fucking over the people with ADHD. What solves the issue is putting more people into the NHS. What solves the issue is getting more people to work in that fucking industry. And what stops that? Like this bullshit Tory ethos that is flooded with right wing pieces of fucking shit that go, every job now needs to be full of bullying. Yeah, let's make it so it's a lion's den, so people don't want to go in and work there. Like you've ruined our country. You've ruined this country. Do you know what I mean? The fuck, man. It's disgusting what is happening. It's disgusting what this country is coming to. And it's all orchestrated by the people at the top. The majority of the Tories were funded by Russia. What would Russia want? They'd want to fuck up our country, man. These people, they were funded by India and Russia, seemingly, going out on Russian yachts. Those, like, other governments want to fuck up other governments, man. We need to take it back to these people being funded by our people. Governments need to be funded by our people. People that want to live in this country. We need to be paying for these people so that they work for us. If they're working for Russia, what do you think that Russia want? They want to take over here. They want to make the money that we're making off this country. The same with India. Stop thinking that you can't talk about people. There are fascists in every country. There are fascists in England. There are fascists in India, in Africa, in Russia, in the US. There are fascist pieces of shit everywhere, and their skin color does not indicate that you need to feel sorry for them. Also, don't go out and beat people up because they have a tan. Just realize what the problems are here. Underfunding of the NHS, underfunding of the police, underfunding of the education system, programming. that is there in order to destroy our health. And the majority of that is religion. It's fucking ridiculous, man. Anyway, yeah, I don't even know what I'm not going into any more specific stories, man. It's just making me angry, and I want to eat and I feel like today is an eat and rest day.